You won't believe what happened next. On a bright morning, at 9:30 a.m., the opening bell rang at the NASDAQ Stock Exchange in New York. The atmosphere on the trading floor was electric, thick with tension and anticipation. A private space transport company was officially listing its shares for public trading. Now, under normal circumstances, a major company going public is a standard financial event. It happens all the time on Wall Street. But on this specific morning, the financial world witnessed something that had never occurred in all of recorded human history. In the very first second of trading, as the numbers flickered across the giant monitors, the chief executive and owner of this company instantly became the world's very first trillion. Let that sink in for a moment. $1 trillion. That is a number so vast that it is almost impossible for the human mind to comprehend. It is written as a number 1 followed by 12 zeros. To put that kind of astronomical fortune into perspective, imagine you were given a budget where you were forced to spend $1 million every single day without missing a single day. How long do you think it would take you to spend $1 trillion? It wouldn't take a few years. It wouldn't take a few decades. It would take you over 2,700 years to finish that money. That means if you had started spending $1 million a day back when the ancient Romans were building their empire, you would still have centuries of spending left today. His wealth has reached a level where if you were to combine the total net worth of the 4 next richest human beings on planet Earth, the founder of Google, the founder of Amazon, the founder of Facebook, and the founder of Oracle, their combined fortunes still wouldn't match what this single individual holds on paper. But what if I told you that behind this staggering, head-spinning number lies a story that almost nobody in the mainstream financial media is telling you? It is a story built on the sheer cunning of the modern stock market, high-tech political backroom deals, and a financial illusion so wild that once you understand how it actually works, it will completely change the way you look at the global economy. To truly understand how we got here, we first have to pause and talk about this word. Trillion. It rolls off the tongue easily enough in news broadcasts and financial reports, but our brains simply aren't hardwired to process what a number of that scale actually means in the real world. Let's break it down using something we all understand: time. If you were to travel back in time by 1 million seconds, you would find yourself sitting in almost the exact same spot just 11 and a half days ago. That's recent history. You probably remember what you had for lunch. Now, if you travel back in time by 1 billion seconds, you are suddenly jumping back 32 years into the past. That takes you all the way back to the early 1990s. A time before smartphone, before high-speed internet, and perhaps before you were even born. But what happens when you try to travel back by 1 trillion seconds? You don't just jump back a few centuries. You are launched backward through history by 31,000 years. That takes you back to the Stone Age, thousands of years before human civilization had built its very first cities, long before the pyramids of Egypt were even a thought. If you look at the global economy right now, there are only 21 countries on the entire planet that generate a gross domestic product higher than $1 trillion. That means a single private citizen now holds a personal financial valuation that eclipses the total annual economic output of over 170 sovereign nations. So, how on earth was this number calculated in the first place? This brings us to the very first major illusion of the ultra-wealthy. When financial analysts calculate a billionaire or trillionaire's net worth, they aren't looking at cash. According to financial reports, The valuation of his main aerospace firm surged past $2 trillion, while his electric vehicle company sits at over $1 trillion. Because he owns massive percentage shares in both enterprises. The math on paper automatically crowns him a trillionaire. But here is the massive catch that almost everyone overlooks. This money is completely illegal. It is not sitting in a vault like Scrooge McDuck. It is not resting in a private bank account waiting to be spent on yachts, mansions, or private islands. It is almost entirely paper wealth. The man himself has publicly admitted that less than 0.1% of his total wealth exists as actual liquid cash. The rest is tied up exclusively in corporate stock. Now, why does that matter? Because if he were to ever try to sell off those shares to convert that $1 trillion figure into real, spendable cash, the entire valuation would instantly collapse. The moment the stock market sees a founder dumping massive amounts of company stock, panic sets in. Regular investors and institutional funds immediately assume that something is wrong with the company. They start selling their own shares in a panic, triggering a catastrophic market domino effect. Within hours, that $1 trillion fortune could literally shrink by half. It is a digital number on a screen, entirely dependent on the collective belief and confidence of other market players. Which leads us to the second fundamental problem. Are these companies actually worth these eye-watering valuations? Let's take a hard look at the balance sheets. A company's real, fundamental value is supposed to be based on its earnings, its revenues, its profit margins, and its actual production capabilities. But when you examine the financial reality of these tech giants, the numbers simply do not add up. In a single year, the market valuation of the rocket company jumped from $400 billion to over $2 trillion. Yet, during that exact same time frame, the company recorded billions of dollars in operational losses. Independent financial research firms have pointed out that based on actual revenue and fundamentals, the real value of the company is less than 40% of its stock market price. So why are everyday people and massive institutional funds continuing to pump money into it? The answer is simple. They aren't investing in the current financial reality of the company. They are investing in a dream. They are investing in the personality, the promise, and the futuristic vision of a single individual. Top economists call this the castles in the air theory of stock valuation. Under this model, a company's share price has almost nothing to do with its actual current performance. Instead, it is driven purely by psychological hype and narrative storytelling. And no one on earth is better at building castles in the air than this iconic mogul. Over the years, the public has been sold an endless string of breathtaking futuristic promises. Human colonies on Mars, fully autonomous robot taxis operating on every street corner, super-fast underground transport tunnels that solve city traffic forever, and orbiting satellite data centers in outer space. People don't buy the stock because of what the company earned last quarter. They buy the stock because they want to own a piece of a sci-fi future. Harvard professors have even gone so far as to describe this phenomenon as a financial cult, place where standard economic rules no longer apply, because believers assume that any project bearing his name is guaranteed to succeed. Now, once you see past the hype and the castles built in the air, a massive question naturally comes up. How do these mega billionaires and trillionaires actually live day? How do they buy luxury estates, private jets, and mega yachts if 99% of their wealth is stuck inside company stock? This brings us to one of the best kept financial secrets of the top zero. It is a brilliant, entirely legal, financial loop known as buy, borrow, die. And once you understand how this three-step strategy works, you will see how the global financial game is rigged against the average working person. Step 1 is simple: buy and hold. When an entrepreneur or investor builds a massive portfolio of company shares, they make a conscious choice to never sell those shares for cash. Why? Because under standard tax laws around the world, you only pay taxes on wealth when you actually sell an asset and realize a cash profit. If you hold on to a stock as it rises from $10 to $10,000, you owe the tax authority absolutely nothing. It is untaxed capital growth. The wealth sits there on paper, growing year after year, completely untouched by income tax or capital gains tax. But of course, paper wealth doesn't pay for personal mansions, security detail, or new business ventures. So how do they get cash without selling? That brings us to step 2. Bara. Instead of liquidating stock and paying 40% in taxes, a billionaire takes their vast collection of shares to a major global investment bank. They use those shares as financial collateral to secure massive, multi-billion-dollar private loans. Because the bank knows the underlying shares are worth tens or hundreds of billions, they offer these loans at ridiculously low interest rates that regular, everyday citizens could only dream of getting. The billionaire receives billions of dollars in pure cash straight into their personal account. And here is the kicker. Loan proceeds are not considered taxable income. When you take out a loan, the taxman doesn't touch a single penny of it because it is technically debt, not earnings. So, while an ordinary working person works 40 hours a week and hands over 20, 30, or 40% of their hard-earned paycheck to the government, a billionaire can withdraw $1 billion in cash via a bank loan and pay 0% in income tax on that money. They use this tax-free loan money to fund their personal lives, launch new projects, or buy major media platforms. And whenever those loans come due, they simply take out a new, larger loan against their even higher stock prices to pay off the old one. They roll the debt over, decade after decade, keeping the cycle going infinitely while living a lavish lifestyle, completely off the tax grid. Then comes the final stage of the game: die under traditional inheritance and tax rules in many developed nations. When an ultra-wealthy individual eventually passes away, their shares are transferred to their heirs under special wealth transfer provisions. In many cases, the historical capital gains tax on those shares is completely wiped clean or reset to current market value. The heirs inherit the empire, sell off a tiny fraction of the fresh tax-free stock to settle any outstanding bank loans, and inherit the rest without ever having paid the decades of accumulated income taxes that a regular citizen pays every single month. When you look at the actual numbers, the reality is astounding. During major wealth explosions over recent years, while the top billionaires saw their personal fortunes grow by tens of billions of dollars, their effective tax rates amounted to a tiny fraction of their total wealth growth often, as low as 3 to 4%. Compare that to the average nurse, teacher, or factory worker who pays double-digit percentages on every single pound or dollar they earn through sweat and labor. Now, while this loan strategy is standard practice for becoming the world's first trillionaire, required another element entirely, an element that goes far beyond clever tax planning. It required raw political power and deep political connections. In the world of ultra-high finance, business and politics do not operate separately. They are deeply intertwined. Before major political shifts, a massive fortune might stand at a very impressive level. But to multiply that fortune by 5 times in a short span of time requires direct alignment with government power. It requires what critics call a transactional relationship between money and political influence. During major election cycles, hundreds of millions of dollars flow from elite donors directly into political campaigns, super PACs, and media influence operations. When a major financial tycoon becomes the single largest financial backer of a winning political administration, the return on investment can be staggering. Suddenly, the billionaire isn't just an observer in the economy. They have a direct seat at the table. They sit in on high-level cabinet strategy sessions, accompany state leaders on official diplomatic missions, and participate in trade talks with foreign governments. When state leaders meet with foreign nations, major commercial deals for satellite internet, electric vehicles, and manufacturing plants are finalized on the spot. Approvals and operating licenses that previously took local authorities years to process are suddenly granted in a matter of weeks, with long-standing security concerns or regulatory objections quietly brushed aside. Even more striking is what happens inside the regulatory agencies themselves. Key leadership positions at telecom, transportation, and market oversight boards are frequently filled with political appointees who hold favorable views toward these massive corporate empires. Consider how stock market regulations were adjusted during key listing events. Historically, when a massive new enterprise wanted to list on major market indexes, strict waiting periods and financial cushions were required. These rules were explicitly put in place to protect everyday public pension funds, retirement accounts, and small investors from getting caught up in artificially inflated stock bubbles. Yet, on key occasions, fast-track entry rules were rolled out, shortening mandatory waiting periods down to mere days. At the exact same time, regulatory exemptions were granted that allowed financial intermediaries to handle client funds under far more relaxed safety rules during high-stakes public offerings. The net result: millions of regular workers had their retirement savings and pension funds automatically funneled into these high-risk valuations, whether they specifically chose to invest in them or not. Tens of billions of dollars in public capital were effectively mobilized to bolster the stock value and secure a landmark $1 trillion valuation. At the same time, dozens of active government investigations, environmental reviews, and regulatory court cases regarding safety compliance, worker relations, and market dominance can suddenly slow down, stall, or disappear altogether once political alignments shift. When you step back and view the entire landscape, it becomes crystal clear that history rarely judges the ultra-wealthy by the peak numbers flickering on a stock ticker. A $1 trillion net worth might look incredible in headline news, but real historical legacy is defined by real-world impact. While global organizations estimate that world hunger and extreme poverty could be dramatically reduced with just a small fraction of these astronomical fortunes, the system continues to prioritize speculative market caps and paper empires. So, as an investor and an observer in this modern economy, what is the ultimate lesson here? Do not be blinded by headline hype or flashy sci-fi promises. Do not rush to pour your hard-earned money into inflated market bubbles built on psychological hype and castles in the air. Real financial security is built on real fundamentals companies with solid earnings, honest revenue, and true utility, and, most importantly, on developing your own skills and knowledge. In a financial system where trillion-dollar valuations can be built on hype, market tricks, and political favors, throwing your hard-earned money into overinflated dreams is a dangerous game. Real financial independence isn't about chasing the next viral stock or falling for promises. It's about focusing on solid fundamentals, understanding how the game is actually played, and investing in your own knowledge and skills. Because at the end of the day, a market ticker can crash overnight, but the value you build within yourself is something no market bubble can ever take away. If this deep dive opened your eyes to how the system really operates behind closed doors, show some love by hitting that like button. It genuinely helps get these stories out to more people. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss another breakdown. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think anyone should ever hoard $1 trillion? Or is it time the rules changed for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get a real conversation going. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, and I'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.